idea. Had I really trampled someone? Maybe having fun came with a price. The fun ended suddenly when two ladies arrived at the classroom door, and I was summoned forth in front of the whole class and led out into the hallway with its off-white cinder blocks and omnipresent linoleum echo. I was a little scared because the singling out made me feel like I had done something terribly and unforgivably wrong. Kindergarten was the most equal place imaginable, the pint-sized version of democracy in action. We were all just recess jungle gym players and nap-time mat layers who had to listen when Paul whispered poop in our ear. Then the day ended, and we went home for lunch. And that was all there was to it. Life was good. But now I was being sucked away, removed from that happy garden of kiddie-time leisure. And the fact that it was just me could only mean that I was special in some disturbing way. I was being cast out. I would now be separated from the horde. Right then and there, I was branded. The two ladies marched me down to another classroom, and as I entered, things looked familiar but different. There were about the same number of kids, and they seemed fairly ordinary, but they were sitting at desks, and there was a lot of very official-looking stuff, numbers, writing, plastered on the walls. I was asked to sit at a desk in the back, next to a bulletin board that featured a great big pumpkin made of circles of orange construction paper, and that pumpkin, a preview of Halloween, made me feel good for a moment. I looked up at it and thought, I guess this place will be all right, but where am I? I was in the first grade, having been placed there after 6 weeks of kindergarten. It was not a decision instigated by the officials of Eberwhite Elementary School. It was, rather, a move they went along with after being pushed into it by my mother, who was desperate for me to get ahead, already overripe with eagerness to launch her campaign to turn me, as a representative of her, into the smartest kid in the universe. It was her way of stacking the deck in my favor. Years later, when I saw Almost Famous, I nearly fell out of my chair when it was revealed that the 15-year-old hero is so much shrimpier than the other kids in his class because he has, in fact, been skipped ahead not 1 grade, but 2, including kindergarten. I'd never before seen a movie character who thought just like my mother until Frances McDormand's Elaine informs her son, with a hell-bent twinkle of superiority, "You skipped kindergarten because I taught it to you when you were 4. Then she adds, "Who needs a crowd? Who put such a high premium on being typical? You're unique. You're 2 years ahead of everybody." Talk about a step forward that's also a step back. I think that my mother, just like McDormand's Elaine, believed that she was saving me from the fate of being typical. Well, mission accomplished. You might say that I adjusted well. Once I got over my branded moment, I settled into the first grade without much fear or fanfare. I was a quick-minded kid, and the schoolwork came easy. I was assigned to a reading group, and it didn't take long for me to catch up with the other dogged perusers of Dick and Jane. My mother, huddled with me on the couch, taught me the fundamentals of reading in 2 nights, using the book Go Dog Go. My adjustment to the first grade was not traumatic. My mother must have thought that everything was going according to plan. Yet in a funny way, the ease of the transition camouflaged the number it did on my psyche. You must understand that this was not the era in which children start to read on their iPads in preschool, and by the time they reach kindergarten, they're on to Proust and the Pythagorean theorem, all because their parents are desperate to get them onto the stepladder, next stop Ivy League, that will hoist them into the 1%. When I came along, the difference between kindergarten and every other grade, it's the reason they didn't call it a grade, is that with nothing academic in sight, all kindergarten was, in the end, was about being with other kids. It wasn't about learning, it was about learning to be a social being. And so skipping a kid like me out of kindergarten after 6 weeks was a rather boneheaded thing to do. It said, in effect, that social stuff is just fluff. It doesn't matter. I socialized in first grade without visible drama, but now there was a purpose, a mindful activity to everything happening. The sheer irresponsible joy of kid-to-kid connection got waylaid. That may be why I could never totally grasp what was going on at summer camp, or in the soap opera of high school, or in the world of office politics. That may be why my personality is flavored with a pinch of Asperger obtuseness. What skipping kindergarten did was to abstract me from other kids, turning me into someone who stood almost reflexively outside a situation, someone who could only now play well with others via the brain. It locked me into a state of voyeuristic passivity, turning me into a person who doesn't so much stand up and do things as sit around and watch things, waiting for someone else to do them. Trust me.